Hi, this is Julianne Price, and welcome back to Life Edit and Design. And in this episode, we are going to kind of finish our montage on Christmas and Christmas planning. And this episode, we are talking about the Christmas countdown. So I do have a planner on Christmas countdown, but again, I'm going to give you plenty of ideas. Have the planner, great, but if you don't have a planner, you're going to have a lot of different ideas of how to do a Christmas countdown for adults and for kids. So let's jump into it. So I've given you a lot of ideas in the last video on how to celebrate Christmas, the time leading up to Christmas, activities you can do and fun things. The Christmas countdown is something that you can do from December 1st to December 25th, 24th, depending on how you want to kick it off. So the countdown, if you remember when you were kids, we used to do the construction paper. You'd make rings out of construction paper. You'd rip off one ring for every day that got down to Christmas, and there was like a bow at the end. So actually, you were climbing up the chain, and the bow at the end meant it was Christmas. And that was like a big exciting thing when we were kids. So we need to revamp it a little, right? Update it for what can be a Christmas countdown these days. And oh my God, you can turn absolutely anything into a Christmas countdown. You can have a lot of fun with this. I forgot to grab the jar, but my husband actually did a countdown jar. He has a jar full of M&Ms, and we have a big event in the summer that we're counting down to. And so he put an M&M for each day. So every night I'm supposed to eat an M&M out of this jar as we count down to this big event that we're going to do this summer. So you can make countdowns out of anything just to make it fun. Again, to have a little bit more anticipation of the season again, because things are kind of out of the ordinary for you, a little bit different. So the countdown's a way to build anticipation without some of the events going on, and it's an inexpensive, fun thing to do. So as when we were kids, one of the things we did, my mom used to buy these giant coloring books, and every night we got to do a different page in the coloring book, and there was 4 of us, and we'd all kind of have a section of the coloring book. I mean, these were big. These were like 3-foot coloring books at the time. And we each had a corner, and we could, color our corner. And that was our countdown to Christmas, was coloring a different one every day. So you can definitely, coloring books are so in style now. So as an adult or as a child, you could do it either way. You could color a page and just set aside 25 or 24 pages, because you probably won't do one on Christmas Day. But you could color a page every day, which is a fun countdown. You can do some kind of snack or treat, like I talked about with the M&Ms, where you could count down one of those every day. For kids, it could be something as simple as putting, if you have really little kids, putting like Cheerios in a jar, and they get to eat one Cheerio. It's symbolic. It's not meant to be a big, huge treat. For adults, we tend to like our treats a little bit more. You could put Hershey Kisses in. They always come out with the holiday foils on the Kisses, so you could do one of those. If you're really decadent, you could do a Lindor truffle. A lot of calories in those, just saying. Might not want to do 24 days of that, but that's the idea, is you can have a jar and you can watch as the jar is emptying, because you're taking something out. On the reverse, you could put something in. So the countdown could be like a count up. A little bit harder to do, but you could put like a penny in the jar if you're with little kids and you're trying to work on maybe the spirit of giving. Maybe they put a penny in a jar and fill the jar. But it had to be a pretty small jar if you're only going to put 25 things in it. So just keep an idea like that. You could do, one year we did the like 25 messages. So it was just little notes, wrapped them up, put them in a jar, and every day you could reach into the jar and grab out a message. So it could be a fun, like something you went through, like a fortune cookie sayings, and just came up with a bunch of fortune cookie sayings. Could be just a poem, a joke, a riddle, whatever you want to put into something small, and just it's a treat coming out each day. Another one we did every day between January or December 1st and Christmas, I hid and try to find something that's individually wrapped. Like I found lifesavers that were individually wrapped, but I hid them. So every night my kids would come home from school, and one would have green and one would have red, whatever I was doing. And one year I even found little tiny presents, like miniature presents, and I'd hide them. And so they'd have to go, that was their activity each night, was to go find wherever I hid whatever for the night. So that's just a fun, every night it's an activity you do. It's not as much of a visual countdown as just a fun activity that they did for 25 days, and then they got to eat whatever, or the presents. When I did the little presents, they all went into a jar, so the jar started to fill up. As we got closer to Christmas, the jar was full of all the presents I had hid around the house. Another time we did word puzzles. So every night I would wrap up, I bought a cheap dollar store book of word puzzles, mind teasers, that kind of thing. And I'd wrap that up, and every night they got to do a puzzle. So that was the countdown, as there was 25 puzzles, and at the end it would be Christmas Day. So that was a fun way of just kind of mixing things up, doing a little bit different, but you want to build the anticipation. You don't want it to be expensive. I used to drive myself nuts. I have the advent calendars with the wooden doors, and I'd put a treat in. That was another way of doing a countdown. And I'd put a treat in, but I started to drive myself nuts trying to come up with things that were small enough to put in those little tiny, they were almost like 1x1 boxes. They were so small, and trying to come up with something I could stick in there that wouldn't attract any kind of critters or friends. That was a treat. One year I went to a penny candy store, and I was able to find a bunch of little things that were wrapped, but that was like 1 year, and then after that I really couldn't duplicate it. So the advent calendars are fun, but I would stick to like notes. That's a good way to do some kind of note thing. So 1 year for my husband on the countdown, the advent calendar, I put in 25 things I loved about him, and that was a little note in each drawer as they went down. So that's a fun way for an adult if you have one of those wooden calendars, or again, you could do it from a jar and just pick 25, write 25 statements, and every day they get to pick something out, a reason why they're special. Or it could be anything that you want to put on a note. It could be pieces of a story, and you cut out the text, like take a printed story, cut out a quick few words, and then they're putting the story together. They're pasting it every day as it gets closer to Christmas. So, the ideas are endless. You just got to get your mind going. In this one, the one that I did, I actually created this for my brothers. This is a digital planner now. Last year when I actually created it, I made it as a paperback, and I sent it to each of my brothers. Actually, it was Thanksgiving. I gave each one a copy on Thanksgiving dinner. And it's a creative writing prompt for every day, and this is just a fun way to count down to Christmas. So every day they were answering some kind of crazy prompt. Let me see, I'll read one. So here's just an example. You come home from work one day and find a brightly wrapped package on your porch. And then there was a whole bunch of prompts. Describe your porch. What time of day is it? What's in the package? What do you do with the package? Who gave you the package? So there's a bunch of writing prompts. So I gave them 25 of those. Actually, it was 24 writing prompts, and that's what's in this digital planner. If you do want to pick up this digital planner at my Etsy shop, this is more for adults. Older children could do it because the stories are whimsical and fun. But every day they did some creative writing, and then it was just a fun thing when we got together. We'd be like, "Oh, what'd you think of last night's prompt?" And we'd all joke about it. And then on Christmas Day, everybody picked one of their stories, and they read it, so that we all got to hear some of the fun things that they had come up with. There's things like you invent something, or you're a superhero. So there's some really fun prompts, and you can come up with your own creative writing prompts that are age appropriate for your kids, or as an adult you could do something like this. And the idea is to use your imagination. This takes a little longer than just opening a piece of candy, which is what I liked. Is it was an activity, it got everybody involved, and it gave us more to talk about. It was like a conversation piece. So everybody had a chance to, again, use your imagination, think outside the box, just kind of relax. It was like everybody had a routine at night. They would sit down and they'd do some writing, and my sister-in-law used to have just a cup of tea while she wrote, and my mom would have her ice cream. So for what it's worth, try not to have the ice cream, but just have a fun routine where you're doing something every night. And I loved that this was creative. So you could maybe journal for 25 days and journal what the holidays mean to you, or what special thing you did during the day. That's another way to count down to Christmas. But I liked this creative writing because it was just so different, and it was a surprise to everybody. And the last prompt is, what did you think of this? Did you use your imagination more? Did it make you feel more childlike? Did you enjoy the holiday more because you were creative? You were kind of, sometimes we get so tied up in the busyness of the holiday that we don't take the time to remember what it was like to be a kid, and the excitement and the fun. And so if you're an adult looking for a Christmas countdown or some way to build up excitement to the holidays, think about things that really made you smile as a kid, things that just sparked your creativity. Maybe you need to go back and watch some really old Christmas movies just for the fun of that, or read some old stories that were either Christmas related or just something that reminds you of childhood. I think it's important this year, among all the other years, to really kind of think back and enjoy the good times, appreciate the times for what they are now, look for the positives, and reflect on your life. Like this time, so much has changed, and you have a chance to really reinvent. You don't even have a choice. You kind of have to reinvent yourself. So why not have some fun and hark back to some of your childhood memories and then look forward and create these new traditions? So kind of a mix of the old and the new, and reinvent, like take what was the best of the past and then move forward and create something new. So this Christmas countdown can be a nice bridge to, what the past contained and what you want going forward. Create this bridge with this 25-day countdown and really have a lot of fun celebrating just something different. So you can make this so age appropriate depending on what you do. I know we did, we took the construction rings concept, and just to show you how you can do countdowns for just about anything, we put them together, my husband and I, and it was construction paper, but it was green and red, but it had faded. So you couldn't tell if it was green and red or pink and blue. And we put that in a box, we wrapped it up, stuck it under the tree, and didn't put anybody's name on it, just left it there. And after everybody opened the presents, they were like, hey, there's still some present under the tree, who's it for? And picked it out. My mom just decided, she'll start opening it. She opened it up, and she's pulling out these construction rings. And she's like, why is somebody giving us like garland to decorate the tree made out of construction paper? She couldn't figure it out. And at the end, we had put the ultrasound picture. So there was a link for every day from that day, Christmas Day, till the day my son was going to be born. And then the picture of his ultrasound was there. And the reaction we got, people just, it's one of the coolest memories I have is, giving that countdown. And then my mom saved the rings as she tore open each ring. She saved them because this was the countdown to her grandson. So you can make countdowns so special. You don't have to leave them just for Christmas. If there's a big event, like I said, we're counting down to something in June, and I have the M&Ms, you can use this all year long. You can really have fun. So if there's something, countdown to a vacation, countdown to graduation, again, countdown to Christmas is the obvious thing, but there's so many you can do. Take this idea, and anytime you're looking forward to something, you want to build excitement, use a countdown idea and make it physical, make it tangible, visible, not so much, something you have on your phone, an app on your phone, but something that you can actually do. Write the stories, do journal prompts for 25 days, whatever it is, but have some fun counting down, because it really does, it adds a quality. I don't know what it is, but it creates a really cool memory, but it adds a quality to the holidays. It's this consistency, this theme that flows through your entire holiday planning process. And to me, it seems magical to have a countdown going. So I think you can really enjoy this. Put your creative hat on. If you have questions, you can always email me. Happy to answer them. But I think you can really take this to a whole different level and mix it in with your other plans for the holidays. So you can have a big kickoff event. So you could tell people, hey, come to my house on December 1st or get on FaceTime December 1st, and then kick off the countdown and involve more people in it. So they can craft their own countdown calendar, or they can, if you've let them know in advance, they can have their own supplies to make whatever the countdown's going to be, or you can send them a coloring book. If you have kids across the country, you could send everybody a coloring book in advance so they can all be coloring together, so you could share this. Like I said, this digital planner, I gave one to every one of my brothers, so it was a family event, so it's a way to bring people together. So it doesn't have to just be your nuclear family, your immediate family, but you can spread this out depending on your idea. You can really spread this out. So you can send Hershey Kisses to somebody in the nursing home if they're allowed to have candy, or you come up with something else and send them a jar so that they can count down with you. So think about how you can share the excitement of Christmas, the anticipation of building up to this big, family celebration. You can really take this and help fill in the gaps for some people who might be alone, and really have some fun with it. 25 jokes, and who doesn't want to laugh a little bit? You can definitely do that. And the 25 I Loved Yous, was something my husband saved every single one of those. Of course he did. 25 coupons. You can do that's one year my kids did that. It was like you could trade this in to get out of a chore. You could trade this in to get an extra treat. You could trade this in to do your homework in a crazy location. So I'd come up with 25 different coupons, because again, I was trying to fill that little tiny door, so paper became a big popular thing to write different notes on paper. So I hope that you are inspired by this, and that you will come up with your own Christmas countdown this year, and again, use countdowns any other time of the year. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to the newsletter so that you can get all these. You can find out when I've released a video and the tips, and you can see what I have coming up. And you also get special coupons, and you get special notices, especially about the big sale coming up. So that's all there when you subscribe. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some great ideas from this four episode season on Christmas and Christmas planning. And I hope that you are now ready to have an awesome holiday year. So we'll talk to you soon. Take care.